Regarding the law of attraction, conventional wisdom says that in order to make good things happen, you have to keep your vibrational state up. The problem with this idea is that stuff is going to kick you in the butt no matter what your vibrational state is. Even Jesus was supposed to have died a gruesome death. How was this a reflection of his vibrational state? The reality is that bleep is going to hit you in the face no matter what your state is. So something else is deciding your fortunes. We all know one or more people who only need to fart, and infinite amounts of money immediately fall from the sky into their laps. Their vibrational state is typically very low. They are spoiled ingrates, weak, soft, arrogant beyond measure, and ultimately self-centered. And yet they seem to have all the money. This is not a flash-in-the-pan phenomenon. It follows them through their entire lives and can always be relied on. The rest of us conscientiously apply ourselves to our work, we work hard, we're on time, we don't abuse sick days or steal hours, and we're the first to be let go. Something is very wrong with the conventional wisdom surrounding the law of attraction. Implanting oneself in the village of the happy nice people does not generate good fortune. Keeping your state up, your outlook positive, and brutally forcing yourself to find value in every piece of bleep that hits you in the face has left you last in line, holding an empty bag, while people with half the integrity, a tenth of the character, and 100th of the virtue you typically bring to the world get all the free rides. Everything is effortless and free for them. Conventional wisdom is just plain wrong. Continually chasing some way of making the law of attraction work, we are run ragged, constantly living in a state of hoping, wishing, and praying that some authority up there will allow our goal to manifest. What we need is to reach a point where we command that manifestation, not beg for it. When driving to work, we get in the car, start it, get on the road, turn when and where we need to turn, and we arrive. We don't hope, wish, pray, or beg to arrive at work. We simply choose to go. We go through the required process and we're there. The outcome is never in doubt, and no part of manifesting that goal is ever appreciably out of our hands. The more we try to keep our state up, remain positive, the more we beat the holy crap out of ourselves by denying ourselves the freedom to be who we are, see what we see, and process our experiences as they come to us. We hammer ourselves into the mold of "you gotta be positive." This is the ultimate road to self-destruction. You gotta be, no you don't. You need to be you need to be genuine. As is. You are you on all fronts. The damage is done by the idea that when we're feeling down, not only will our good fortune stop, but we're inviting misfortune into our lives. It's the classic reward and punishment system. Directly or indirectly, we're trained and conditioned to reject and fix any state we enter that isn't fluffy and bright, which immediately puts us into a state of "I cannot be me. I am broken. I must be fixed." That fixing is forced and disingenuous. It's a performance, an act, compliance with a rule that you were taught. It is not the natural you. In a perfect world, when some idiot cuts you off on the road, the real response would be to cut the idiot off 2 times. Then it's over and done with. We don't hang on to that unresolved anger, having it fester and grow inside us, constantly being disowned, shut down, ignored, and suppressed. However, in today's world, that's difficult to do. The idiot who instigates will always walk away. If you counter what he did, there will be a cop sitting right there waiting to let that guy go and give you 16 tickets. The purpose of your life is to be the person you are. Stop apologizing, stop letting a culture that is so chicken bleep, it can't even control its own government, tell you what is right and wrong, what your failings, flaws, and weaknesses are, and what you need to change. Most of the time, you will need to put on a mask and pretend in order to function effectively within society. Force your outward behavior to conform to social norms. Pretend you like this deviant behavior or you don't dislike that group because that's what is acceptable. In these times, as long as you know it's pretend, you don't take it too seriously, and you don't buy into the brainwashing that you are now a good person, then no damage is done. You're simply playing a necessary game that you know is only a game. Your starting point must be to realize you are not broken. You are what you are. You like what you like, you dislike what you dislike. Society will eagerly list 1,000 ways that you are deviant, messed up, inferior, damaged, stupid, incompetent, or you need help. As if they were in any position to help anybody. Stop buying into it. You are who and what you are, end of story. Does society itself function as if it's qualified to judge anybody? When human beings form a collective of any type, the mentality of that collective immediately nosedives to the pits of hell. No mass-driven movement has ever brought improvement. Labor unions, formed to save the common worker from the tyranny of evil business owners, couldn't check their greed and systematically drove just about every manufacturing process in the United States overseas because companies simply could not sustain their outrageous salary and benefit demands. Very quickly, the unions became mafias, gangs existing only to further their own power at any cost. In the 1960s it was all about civil rights. Trillions of dollars, thousands of laws, and millions of man-hours later, some minorities are now openly calling for outright extermination of the white race. This is where saviorism led. It's safe to say that from their perspective, there was less anger before the movement than there is now. Nobody was saved. It's the exact same story with the women's rights crusade. Their outcries today are far more enraged than they ever were before the movement. History speaks for itself, the more you save a group, the worse off they are. Meanwhile the rest of us are constantly having the vice around our heads squeezed tighter and tighter with more and more oppressive rules and restrictions dictating how we can and cannot think and feel about everything in life. You can hate this group but not that one. We can hate you but you can't hate us. The tighter this vice squeezes, the more angry everybody becomes, victims, saviors, and everybody in between. Mass social movements have never, in the history of the planet, done anything but bring misery and terror down on the masses. You are not damaged if you deviate from their values, standards, and demands. Let them judge. Let them accuse. If they knew their bleep from a hole in the ground, they would stop crying and start doing. They would focus on creating solutions instead of on destroying problems. The people judging you and telling you what is right and wrong have no track record of leading the masses anywhere but to hell. What if you just plain don't like green people, or purple people, or straight people, or gay people, or traditional marriage, or gay marriage, or the pro-abortion philosophy, or the anti-abortion philosophy, or Democrats, or Republicans, or independents? What if that's just the way you feel? Depending on which group you confront, you will be read the riot act about how evil you are. You need help, which is usually provided by beating you down in an uncontrolled rage until there is nothing left. Look at all the things that you feel make you a good person. What would these things mean if you were raised by a pack of wolves? What would your sense of right and wrong be in that situation? When your culture defines you more than nature did when you were born, you are living a lie and the law of attraction will reflect that weakness. Any given social regulation is temporary at best. No matter which one you pick, it wasn't here yesterday and it'll be gone tomorrow. There was a time when it was every bit as unthinkable for a woman to show her ankles as it is to show her breasts today. And most women bought into this, believing that there was truly something wrong with them if they allowed their ankles to show in public. What would the wolves think if they saw a woman's ankles? That's how valid society's evaluations of good and bad people are. They are all temporary, arbitrary, and made up by other humans. That does not define your inherent value as a human being. A video published by a prominent spiritual/self-help guru very aptly pointed out the striking similarity between the scene of an anti-war protest and the actual battlefield. Photos showed the same rage flying around, the same destruction, and the same warring mindset. The protesters were everything they hated, everything they were protesting against times 1,000. In a city known far and wide for being the Mecca for all things virtuous, including saving the homeless, a video was shot showing more than 600 of the city's occupants marching right by a homeless boy on the street with no shirt in the dead of winter. They were everything they railed on against. Society has a long track record of producing flag wavers who claim exemption from their own cries because they are special. They're waving the flag and saving others by doing so. What they're doing is more important than what you're doing, so they have special privileges. They are in a special class by crusading to create a classless society. They rules never apply to the special flag waver, the mouthpiece, the savior bringing public awareness to one plight or another. No celebrity crying out to feed the homeless will sacrifice their own fortune or open their own home to serve their own cause. They eternally demand that everybody else do more than they are willing to do themselves. By and large, society as a whole is a mentally retarded mess. They are clueless about an infinite number of issues, and they prove it every day. They are hardly qualified to tell you how you are broken, damaged, or inferior. You still have to live among it, you still have to rely on it for food, gas, utilities, etc. But they don't define your value or your faults or your virtues. You do not need fixing just because you fail to conform to what they tell you is normal. The most critical aspect of making the law of attraction work is centering your entire concept of who and what you are, and are not, within yourself. How you comply or fail to comply with any and all of society's judgments, rules, regulations, and taboos is completely irrelevant. Within yourself, you must perceive yourself as complete and wholly undamaged in all respects.